What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to This Week in Geek. We're going to be rebuilding Marvel's phases 4 and 5 and making them better. Hopefully. I mean, in the end of the day, the MCU, I think for the most part, has lost a little bit of people. But I think there was a way that they could have restructured things. Maybe added a couple projects here and there to make it better. But of course, I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Zach. This is, of course, Ren. And we've been doing this for what? 5 years now?
5 years. Yeah, a little over 5 years now, because we started when the pandemic started. So the pandemic started 5 years and 2 months ago for us, technically. So yeah, we're a little over.
And we've been friends since Thor Ragnarok. That's what brought us together.
Because we both agreed.
Yes, exactly. So, and it's going to be fun. So, but the way that we start all these shows is talking about our weekly ranking. What did we watch through the week and ranking it? I'll start off this week. First thing I watched, or last place, I guess, is Fight or Flight. This is a solid action film. I think it's like Bullet Train meets John Wick. I think the story's awful.
But is it as good as either of those?
No, not even close. It's funny for a majority of this film, I didn't really know if I liked it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then there came a point where a chainsaw comes out on this plane. What they do with the chainsaw made me go, okay, you know what? I'd give this a passing grade.
Gory?
Like, I enjoyed it enough. Very gory, but it's not practical blood. It's CGI, and you can very much tell.
Well, I shouldn't say because I'm about to. I will eventually talk about a movie that I saw this week that also has a lot of CGI gore. But please.
It was a solid movie. I'd probably never watch it again. Next up, we have Final Destination, the first one. Really fun movie.
You've seen them, right?
I've seen them all, yeah. Yeah, I'm just rewatching them right now. Okay. The first one, I forgot how tame it is. Like, it's not that gory. It's not that bloody. The kills really aren't that wild. But I actually kind of appreciate that a little bit. That's
what a low budget looked like in the 90s, kids.
Yes. But then we get to Final Destination 2, which for me, I haven't watched 3, 4, and 5 yet. Well, I need to rewatch them again. But 2 is probably my favorite. I love the usage of the Vision. I love the car crash at the start. I love how gory it is. Like, it's like they went from tame to let's fucking murder people. Let's just do it.
Do you know who is in Final Destination 2? The guy who dies in the elevator with Ali Larter.
Oh, who?
He is the original voice of Kratos.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's a good fun fact. But this movie's fun. But my number one of the week is Toy Story. My son kept looking at my Toy Story stuff. I think he's starting to realize how much he likes it. So I put it on, and
it's in his DNA, man. Literally.
Yeah. Buzz Lightyear is his favorite, though. That is his like. He has a little Buzz Lightyear stuffed animal that like he just always goes to, and then this couch has like Buzz Lightyear like all over it, and every time he just tries.
Yeah, I remember. I said so.
See, there you go.
There you go.
But yeah, that's my weekly ranking. What about you?
I'm gonna go all the way back to last Sunday, to Star Wars Day, to get started with my weekly ranking, because I started in the morning with Another Simple Favor, which dropped last week on Amazon Prime. It's fine, honestly, Zach. This one was exactly what I feared the original Simple Favor was going to be. Like, it looked raunchy for the sake of being raunchy. Like, the trailer didn't really feel like it had a hold on its tone. Felt very soap opera-y, like thinking it was smarter than it actually was. But then it turned out to be actually thrilling and actually quite clever. This is not it. This is a soap opera, and it's fine for that. It's being trashy and just exaggerated and kind of doing the exact same thing as the original, but in a very convoluted way. I don't think it was worth it. I think it's very watchable because it dropped on Amazon Prime. But you can skip this one and just rewatch the original, because the original is still very good. Okay. Then on top of that, I finally started to do some catch up on some releases from this year that I've missed. And last Sunday, I went out to the cinema to watch Until Dawn, and I had a lot of fun with this. It's far from terrible, but it also doesn't manage to be great, just because this film has some of the worst pacing I've seen in recent memory. The pacing in Until Dawn is atrocious. Characters.
Did you play the game?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my eyes perked up in one scene. Well, in the last shot of the film, let's just say.
Can you spoil it? I after the show, can you spoil it for me? I'm probably never gonna watch this. I might watch it when it goes home.
Here's the thing to spoil this film for you, unless you ask me like specifics off the top of my head. If I'm going to spoil the film, I will just tell you like how characters die each time, because they're.
Well, what's the perk? Like the perk up, was it something from the game?
I don't remember, because the characters are all different.
Okay. So when you say the ending perked you up, was like you liked the ending?
You've not seen the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you had seen the movie. So the last shot of the trailer is, so basically the Peter Stormare character.
Yeah, he's in it.
Who does the experiences with people. He dies at the end, and you discover that he has a little lab in which he monitored the house where the characters in the film are going through their trials, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, there's a shot of the monitors. It's starting to zoom in on the monitors. The monitors turn back up, and you see a Jeep arriving at a winter cabin. So if you play the game, you know exactly what that is. So yeah, that's it. That's the last shot. That's the one. I was like, oh, okay, I remember that.
That's cool. I like that.
But I'd still say it's worth a watch. Not a go out to the cinema and watch it, but like once it's available at home, get some friends, get some beers, get pizza, and it's a 5-star classic. You're gonna have a lot of fun, because David F. Sandberg knows how to have fun with horror. He understands the horror genre. It's just that the pacing really drags it down. On top of that, I am going to have, this week's episode of Fire Force, which I watched yesterday, and it's another shocking one. It felt like a season finale, and we're only 6 episodes in. So if you're not watching the anime Fire Force, you should do yourself a favor and watch the anime Fire Force. On top of that, I'm just going to reference that I watched Final Destination Bloodlines this week. So review will drop on Tuesday at 5 p.m. BST. That's 2 hours from now. So whatever time that is where you're at, that'll be the time where my review for Bloodlines drops. I will just say there's still only one bad Final Destination movie, and that's Final Destination 4. So on top of that, my number one this week, because last Sunday was Star Wars Day, I rewatched the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, Return of the Jedi, and it's still perfect. And that is it for my weekly ranking. And I
forgot one thing on my weekly ranking. I watched Tales of the Underworld.
I watched that too. I forgot.
I really liked it. This was probably my favorite Tales.
All right.
Mostly, I mean, I'm really biased towards Cad Bane. Mm-hmm. So to get just a little bit more depth about him, was really cool. And I'm curious.
Is there an order? Because I had the screeners. I watched them on the screeners, and I remember that for the last one, Tales of the Empire, that one, my screeners were all out of order compared to when they came out on Disney Plus. Yeah. So what is it like on? Is it first?
It goes Ventress's story and then Cad Bane.
So they were out of order, because I watched the first 2 Cad Bane ones, and I didn't yet see the rest. So I didn't finish his, and I didn't see any of it.
Oh, dude, the last episode was like, fuck.
There you go.
Yeah, it was very like I saw, because I wasn't planning on watching it until later. I love Tales of Jedi. Empire kind of lost me. I was like,
yeah,
I didn't really care for that one. But I saw this one post, Cad Bane, something about Cad Bane, and I was like, oh, that's
no. I remember when the trailer came out, I sent it to you because I'm like, okay, Cad Bane. So Zach needs to see this.
And the Ventress stuff is cool too, but the Cad Bane stuff is the reason.
I'll definitely watch it. I mean, they're 15 minutes long, so it's not a great undertaking. Yeah. Our good friend Eric Thorpe shares his weekly ranking. Number 1, Mission Impossible. Number 2, The Last of Us Season 2 episode. Well, also forgot to rank that. That would probably be right behind Star Wars, Return of the Jedi for me. Number 3, Mission Impossible 2. Number 4, Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie. You are very generous with that ranking for the Clone Wars movie. And number 5, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. He's in season 3, so now it starts to get good, or get great rather. The Clone Wars, that is. And that is it for weekly rankings. So let us move along, sir.
All right. So Marvel's Phase 4 and 5. We're gonna rebuild them. We're both doing this in a different way. So Ren, I know that you said you didn't do yours and through phases 4 and 5. You kind of you didn't do phases. I did do phases. So what I'll do is I'll start with phase 4, and then I'll let you branch off, and then you can stop somewhere, and then I'll go into my phase 5. So
I can find a place to like cut it off between phases if we need to.
Yeah. And we did this a little bit different. So that as I'm going through my phase 4, there will be things that I'm not naming it in order of how they come out. I'm mostly just going through what did come out and then what would I've kept. Some things I might have been like, this should have been the first thing that came out. This should have been a movie. This shouldn't have even been a fucking thing. But with that said, let's start. So Marvel's phase 4, it obviously started with Black Widow. As much as I really enjoy this movie, it should not have been there. I don't think a phase 4 Black Widow movie was needed, especially as the kickoff. But what I would have done was I would have kicked off phase 4 with a Falcon and Winter Soldier film. Coming off the events of Endgame, Sam getting this shield. I've always said from the day one, since I've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that film or that show should have been a movie. Change up, get rid of the Flag Smashers, change up all this stuff. Basically, whatever Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, I would have made the concept of Brave New World a little bit into there, some of the Red Hulk stuff, Ross, building up that Avengers, and then have Brave New World actually be kind of a semi-Avengers film. But that's down to when we get into phase 5. So I would have started this with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I wouldn't have mind having a Black Widow film, but I would have made Yelena the main character from the beginning. I know we didn't know about Yelena. I know we didn't know anything about that, but I think if you just announce Florence Pugh, which I know wasn't big at the time, Florence Pugh, Black Widow film, this is Natasha's sister, and she's dealing with her sister's death. Done. Awesome. And what I would have tied into there was Hawkeye. I would have brought in Jeremy Renner, had him be kind of the shining light, because one of the things that I feel like phase 4 really should have done is that almost each and every one of the movies to a certain degree should have had a character that was very much relevant to the past of our main Avengers team. So I would have done that. Then off the bat, you introduce someone new, Shang-Chi. You do this every single phase, so why not get a Shang-Chi right off the board in there? And also do the Eternals. I know the Eternals, whatever you may think, wasn't for everybody.
They're awesome.
I think this is where, I love the Eternals movie. I still would have kept it here. But I would have brought something a little bit closer that maybe did connect it to the overall thing. Who would that have been? I probably would have done Thor. I think Thor would have felt a little bit there, and it would have been nice to see where Thor's at and then tie him going forward. You could have even had the Guardians too, since he went off with the Guardians after Endgame. So leave that there. Again, Shang-Chi, I'm keeping the same basically. If I were to have anyone appear in Shang-Chi, I mean, you have Mark Ruffalo at the very end and Captain Marvel. So honestly, I think Shang-Chi was perfectly placed in where it was at. After that, what film we got next after that? I think it was, I don't remember the order necessarily. Do you? It was Eternals. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. So, and I'll go back to the shows in a second too. So I would have kept Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, basically done the same exact storyline, but I wouldn't have killed Wanda at the end. Or killed Wanda at the end. And then the end phase 4, it was Thor Love and Thunder and then Black Panther, if I'm not mistaken. So then from here, what I would have done is Thor Love and Thunder I would have kept. I would have kept fine, just gave a little bit more detail. And honestly, for the most part of what that was, I would have just I wouldn't change anything. I really like the movie. I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of gore and maybe done something else with it, but that for me, and you and me are probably the only people that would never get rid of that film. But that's just
true.
Me.
It's true.
And then I would not end this phase on Wakanda Forever, though. This is where I'm actually going to add a movie, but Wakanda Forever still do all that stuff. The final film in this phase, I feel like should have been Thunderbolts. This is where I think Thunderbolts should have moved up. At this point, you would have already introduced Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Ghost is already, or you would have already introduced U.S. Agent, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So you would have had Winter Soldier pop into here. Yelena would have already been introduced. Red Guardian would have already been introduced. Ghost would have already been introduced. Taskmaster would have already been introduced. Val would have already been introduced. You're coming off Wakanda Forever. Val was in there. So on and so forth. Thunderbolts ends this phase. Boom, we have our new Avengers. Done. Sorry if you haven't seen the movie yet. That's the new Avengers. As for the shows, I've always been in the camp that the shows should not be mandatory viewing for the MCU, but they should be things that add depth to the MCU, and that if you ever go and watch a show, you'll be like, oh, that's really cool. If you watch a movie and you like a character, you might find out that they have a show and you go back and watch it. I still would have kept WandaVision. I don't think it would have worked as a movie. I think WandaVision fits perfectly in there. I have no issues with what they did with WandaVision. As I mentioned, Falcon and the Winter Soldier should have been the start of the MCU. Or Phase 4, that should have just been a movie. 1000%. Loki, I would have kept as a show, and I would have basically kept it the same. Now, obviously, we're working on the camp that Kang is the villain at this point. I'm not sure if you kept Kang.
I kept, generally speaking, like I kept the movies as they are. Like I have some ideas on some of the details, like it could have pulled off better in its story, but like generally speaking, I'm visualizing this as the movies and the shows are what they are.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep, like, Kang is still a thing. Kang's gonna show up in Loki, so on and so forth. Not caring about what if that's a off thing. I'm not counting animation. Was Miss Marvel and Hawkeye in Phase 4? If you can remind me.
I feel like Hawkeye must have been, because it was 2021. So when Phase 4 started. Okay. Miss Marvel 2022. I would say so, because isn't Wakanda Forever part of Phase 4?
Yes. So did Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel come out all before then?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would have kept Hawkeye. Almost about the same. I probably would have just gotten rid of the Yelena storyline, since that I would have just handled in the Black Widow film. So I would have made Hawkeye more just strictly about Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and I would have introduced Kingpin way earlier into that show. This would have basically been, let's introduce some of the street level shit into the MCU. Ms. Marvel would have kept. I probably would have made this very much more street level, especially since it takes place in New York. And again, this is building up that street level dynamic. She-Hulk, same basic thing. More of a court procedural, like that Daredevil episode 2, where we actually get him in court for a majority of it. I would have had She-Hulk doing that. Totally fine, still having humor in there. Tatiana Maslany stays. As for an overarching plot line, I don't know. I don't think it really needs to connect into anything. Maybe connect a little bit more to what Bruce Banner's doing and give Scar a better haircut. But overall, again, I probably still would have interconnected that a little bit more to the street level stuff. Then,
don't worry.
And then for me, if you're diving into this Moon Knight, I would have kept Moon Knight street level as well. I would have put him in New York. I would have had that team there. You still could have had the same villain. But again, I would have really used these shows as, let's build up street level. WandaVision, let's tie off her storyline from Endgame, everything from going on from there. Loki, vice versa. Let's see what's going on with him and introduce the TVA. And then again, you end the phase with, at the end of Moon Knight, I guess I maybe would have made a tease towards Daredevil coming back again. And then, of course, Phase 5 would lead us into that. But that's my Phase 4. The only other show I maybe would have added, personally, like if I were to have added one show, I would have moved Ironheart into Phase 5 to introduce whatever needed to be done. That's about it. What about you, man?
All right. So before I start, I don't have Ironheart because it hasn't come out, because not even Marvel seems to know or care like what actual phase.
Dude, it's the best. They know it's the best project of Phase 5. It is Phase 5.
They held it for 2.5 years.
It is Phase 5. For sure.
So I'm gonna let you all know right now. So my cutoff, so you can do your phase 5 before I do the rest. My cutoff will be She-Hulk. So in my rebuilding of phases 4 and 5, She-Hulk finishes phase 4. So obviously we start with Far From Home. I am going to move Black Widow out of phase 4, and Black Widow comes out right after Captain America Civil War. It's the one MCU movie I watch out of release order. Whenever I watch the MCU, I watch everything as it came out. Captain America, Captain Marvel, Black Widow, I watch right after Civil War. And that was the biggest mistake. The biggest issue with that film is the fact that it didn't come out right after Civil War. So we started Far From Home. Then we go to WandaVision. So far, so good. Then we go into Multiverse of Madness, which introduces the multiverse. From Multiverse of Madness, we move on to Loki Season 1, which explores the multiverse. And after Loki Season 1, we have No Way Home, which is all about multiverse.
So I guess I forgot No Way Home. That still would have been after Multiverse. Yeah, I didn't mention it.
Yeah, it should have come out after Multiverse. I think we all.
Yeah, I would have put it after
and Multiverse. That was the original plan too. Then, right after No Way Home, after Spider-Man finishes off the movie by swinging over New York City during Christmas time, we have our New York set during Christmas time show in Hawkeye. Then we go from New York to Jersey City, and we go to Ms. Marvel, which begins to introduce mutants. Then we get Shang-Chi, which introduces the 10 Rings. And then we have Wakanda Forever, which introduces another mutant. Then we go to the Marvels. Then we go to the Marvels because it follows up on Ms. Marvel, which just came out, but also immediately follows up from the Shang-Chi post-credit scene. Then we go to Falcon and Winter Soldier. So we go back to being grounded. Obviously, we introduce Walker, and we introduce the post-Endgame politics and law and all the reality of the real world in the MCU. After Falcon and Winter Soldier, we go into Thunderbolts. And Thunderbolts stays.
So we're both in agreement. Thunderbolts should have been in phase 4.
Yeah. And then after Thunderbolts, because it also introduces this kind of idea of law and legalities with the whole who are the Avengers and Avengers here, Avengers there. Now there's 2 teams, and some of them have to have the copyright trademark on the name. So from then, we move to She-Hulk, which is all about court cases. But because it is the linchpin, it is what's linking Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Thunderbolts and Thunderbolts to She-Hulk, then we also start to introduce a few more concepts about several Hulks existing, which we'll get back to in my phase 5, because now my phase 4 is finished. So back to you.
I love that. Okay. So now I jump into phase 5, which I would have started with Captain America Brave New World. Leading off Thunderbolts now is the new Avengers, Sam Wilson. We bring that entire thing coming back. Sam Wilson's building up his own Avengers team. And this is a semi-Avengers film, but it wouldn't have been called Captain America Brave New World. I want to do Secret Wars. I want to do Secret Invasion here. This is where I would have tied Secret Invasion and brought in some of the Skrulls. And then, as I mentioned, I want to do a semi-pseudo Avengers film, kind of how Civil War Part 2 was. Okay. This is where Sam's building up the Avengers. Yeah. This is where you get
Civil War 2 is not good, kids.
I would have had Brie Larson as the secondary character with Sam Wilson and have them working together. The Skrulls are invading. Again, this is a big Avengers level threat, not a show. Nick Fury's involved. And at the same time, Sam is trying to build up the Avengers once again.
You know why I really like that?
Huh?
Because not the biggest issue. One of the many big issues with Secret Invasion was that it starts off as, you know what? The Skrulls are here. Some of them have turned into assholes, but that doesn't make the whole species assholes. Just your description of your version of Brave New World / Secret Invasion immediately justifies all that more, because if you'll allow me to add something to you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Red Hulk plotline with the President and all, the Skrulls are actually a red herring in the film. So by the end, if you get that climax where the big bad is the Red Hulk, so it's not even a Skrull, you immediately take the blame and the guilt out of all the Skrulls, so you actually treat them as refugees.
So that's where I was going to say, I almost would keep a majority of the storyline for Brave New World. Brave New World should have been longer. But I would have changed out, obviously, some of the fundamentals of who's working together. So the leader still would have been there. Red Hulk would have still been there. It would have been the red herring. So I like that you added that depth, because I wasn't going to mention the refugee thing. But basically, by the end, Sam Wilson has his Avengers team. Red Hulk's been defeated. There's still another Avengers team out there, which leads me into the next film being Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Because at this point, by the end of this film, I would have introduced Ant-Man, letting us know, hey, like, Ant-Man's a part of this team. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, obviously, keep most of this the same, just make a better fucking movie. That's my idea. Introduce Kang, but at the end, this is the chorus thing. At the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, you let Kang win. You let Kang win. And if you maybe you let someone die, I would have killed Michael Douglas's character. You kill.
I would have killed Paul Rudd. I would have killed.
There you
Scott
go. I would have killed him.
Secret Wars is coming. We just get another Scott Lang after that. It's simple.
So I'd kill Hank Pym and I'd kill Wasp. I'd kill them both. And for some way they sacrifice himself. Kang stays, but it's still lingering that Kang is coming. Or there's more Kangs, obviously. And what I would have done is at the end of this, those Kangs come down and stop the Kang that they were fighting and basically says, we're coming. This is your warning, whatever. The ending would have been Scott Lang going to his new Avengers buddy, because now he's on the Avengers, and being like, this is happening, this is coming. We need to start all working together. The new Avengers, us, all this stuff. Ties into the next thing, which is where I would have added a movie called The Marvels. The Marvels would still be there. You still have Captain Marvel get her pseudo sequel. I would introduce, what's her name? Phastos? What's
Photon? Brian Tyree Henry's character.
No, not Brian. What is Tiana Paris's character's?
Photon.
Photon,
or in the movie she's Photon, but she has another name in the comics.
So I would have Photon her, because then you get this conclusion, from WandaVision and some of that stuff. Sure, introduce Miss Marvel as like a sidekick, plucky sidekick, kind of like Spider-Man or whatever. And they're off doing some galaxy stuff, which is where they run into the Eternals. You get to finish out their storyline with the Celestials and all that. That's kind of off-world but the post-credit scene of that would be them bringing back to Earth. And there was and somewhere along the way, they had met a Kang because of the bands. Nice. We find out Shang-Chi's a part of the Avengers team, so on and so forth. This is where I think, for me, you get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, keep it the same, no issues there. It's just one of those off-kilter
things.
Doesn't
really have to interfere with anything.
No. Deadpool and Wolverine, you keep in there as well. You just leave it as is, its thing, introducing some more things in the multiverse. And then if you go to the shows real quick, Secret Invasion's gone out. Loki Season 2, you keep the same. Have Kang be that lingering thing where Loki ends up. What if, whatever. Echo, just make a better show, or just not at all. But more street level there. Agatha All Along, sure, keep it, I guess. I don't really have anything more towards that. Daredevil Born Again, of course, keep as well. Continuing the street level. But what do you end this phase with? And for me, you end this phase with an Avengers film. With an Avengers film before we head into Fantastic Four, all that stuff leading into this. And in this Avengers film, I know we're in the grand scheme of things where Kang isn't a thing and all this stuff. I would have made Kang be the big bad. I would have just recasted him, have Kang be the big bad, and have the Avengers get their ass wiped as them and the new Avengers are all trying to figure out how this is working. But by the end of that film, they can't defeat Kang. But you know who does? Downey's Doctor Doom comes in, fucking murders them, and that's what takes it. Yep, basically. The Thanos.
Thanos in the comic, just
and you see Downey, and that's where it ends. And then perfect. Phase 6 opens up with Fantastic Four, and then Doomsday. And
I would love if that actually happens, like in Doomsday or Secret Wars, and he does that to something, and then just ends up calling them spineless.
Yeah, I would love if he killed the Kangs. You know what I mean? That would be a cool thing.
Like, just have a scene where he kills one, and like somehow let us know that okay, that's the last one. Like, as in he got through them all. He killed all of them.
Yeah, and that's where I would end it at. It leads us right into Fantastic Four, which is where I would introduce by the very end of the film that he is from that universe. That is the Doom from their universe. Then that leads us into Doomsday, where he'll probably be the main character. You introduce the X-Men there from the, the other world, and then so on and so forth, whatever they're doing. I think it would have just made it a little bit more streamlined. So, as for TV shows, I would have given Moon Knight a season 2, and I honestly probably would have given She-Hulk a season 2. Just to dive into more of the political stuff, as you were mentioning. But, yeah.
Alrighty. So we finished off my Phase 5 with She-Hulk. As again, just as a reminder, we explore the new laws, the politics in the MCU, also reintroduce the idea of Hulks and all that. But from then, when the MCU worked best? When it was delivering variety. So from She-Hulk, from the grounding, legal, procedural comedy, we go to Thor, Love and Thunder. And you know what? In that god assembly, he can maybe look up and see this very creepy-looking bird Egyptian god, because right after that, where Thor Love and Thunder is all about exploring godhood and immortality and those concepts, we move on to Moon Knight, which explores the relationship between man and God. From then, we go to Agatha, because honestly, I didn't really know where to put her, because I like the show, but it's very much its own thing.
Yeah.
Then we go into the Eternals, because we have Celestials introduced after Love and Thunder, because they're the ones that show up just there like, oh, here's Celestials, and you're meant to know what that is. And from the Eternals, we mix the cosmic with the grounded, and we do Secret Invasion. Because this should have... Oh, wait, did I forget? I think I forgot something, Zach. Yes, I did forget. No, I didn't forget. I was looking at the Marvels, which is between My Wakanda Forever and My Falcon and Winter Soldier. So back to where we were. Secret Invasion, and you know what follows Secret Invasion, Zach? Brave New World. It's that simple. Let the political movie be about how this massive thing changed the entire world and logic of politics. From then, it also, because it's coming after Thunderbolts, it allows us to keep going back to that issue, where now Sam actually has a conflict in his own movie. I know, what a concept. Where he's trying to... What a concept. Because these other Avengers exist. Now Sam, he doesn't want Ross to have he doesn't want the Avengers to work for Ross. But if Sam doesn't accept it, Ross will go to those. You know what that's called? Conflict. It's kind of essential to your story. And Sam had none of it in his own movie, which is a shame. Because I think Sam Wilson and Anthony Mackie both deserve better. So, from Brave New World, we go back to Multiverse. Because we have that little post-credit scene with a leader, the other worlds. What do you mean other worlds? Let's explore other worlds with Quantumania. I think it makes a lot more sense. And from then, with Kang being dead, then we go to Loki season 2. And we see that Kang is not dead, but then he ends up actually properly dying, and Loki takes his place. It's... Honestly, you don't need to change even anything about the movies as we saw them. If you put them in this order, the way I read these shows is you're telling me that Kang is gone, because this show ends with Loki seating where Kang was sat. So even if you are changing it to Doom, you do Quantumania and Loki season 2 right after, boom, Kang is dead. And then finally, after Loki season 2, we go a little bit more into multiverse and variants and even the Void with Deadpool and Wolverine. And that's how my rebuilding of the phases finishes off. You sprinkle in all the ideas that we're going to have with variants and multiverse and the cosmic and godhood, but your consistency is always the grounded. How does the world, the planet Earth, how does the human race, politics, and all the shit that we know from our world, how does that change and evolve and move on after Endgame? I think that's the one thing that need a little bit more consistency. And obviously, this is a fun exercise. This is a fun conversation topic to debate. We're discussing this because we're not actually making these movies. We're not actually dealing with all the bureaucracy and the big bucks and the egos and executives, and hindsight is 2020. But that's what's fun about these exercises. And yeah, I think it creates more fluidity between the movies and the phases with the ideas that we're dealing with here.
I have two questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a statement and a question. One thing I want to add to both of ours is I think we would also add that all the post-credit scenes relate to the other. So if there's a post-credit scene that doesn't relate to the next thing, we would have changed it and made it something that does.
I would go back to doing what they used to do and now just went back to doing in Thunderbolts. Just give me a post-credit scene that's literally a scene from the next movie. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. So, second, I want to ask you, is there any movies you would have added, any shows that you would have added that in-depth a character or give a little bit more depth to someone?
I would for sure have a Moon Knight season 2. If anything, if we're gonna add Agatha, and honestly, we don't know if she's coming back, but I would have given something more concrete to how they're gonna get Tommy, because the whole thing was
even for Phase 6. You can also even say Phase 6 too, because there's only 4 films in Phase 6.
Because my Thunderbolts movie comes so early, maybe add another movie, a Thunderbolts 2, so you can have the Fantastic Four post-credit scene, because you're not going to have that post-credit scene in Phase 4 if you're going to have 20 more movies and shows and all that. And honestly, the one I'm missing the most, a Captain Marvel 3.
Yeah.
Because much more Brave New World, I think Brie Larson deserves better.
I fully agree. So for me, I would add a Doctor Strange 3 would start off Phase 5. Or Fantastic Four, one of the two, but I think a Doctor Strange 3 should have happened before Doomsday. It 100% should. I don't know why that's not even a thing. I don't know why
honestly, it would fit right in right after my Deadpool and Wolverine. Instead of that finishing off the phase, Doctor Strange 3.
I do agree. Captain Marvel 3, I think we should, or just something with Captain Marvel.
Or honestly, a Captain Marvel 2 and make the Marvels Captain Marvel 3.
There you go. As for shows, they segmented it so much. I probably would have done something with all the younger characters, but have a different Avengers lead them, or I don't know, something with that. But I would have just done a show. I would never have touched a movie with that.
I think the most organic version of that you can do is maybe a Hawkeye season 2.
Yeah.
Or season 1, it's as is with Kate Bishop, and because he's gotten accustomed to Kate Bishop, he now sees all these kids trying to want to be heroes. So he takes them to be safe at his house, like he did with the actual Avengers in Age of Ultron.
I like that. And then the other thing I would do, I would still keep Werewolf by Night, and I would start introducing the horror stuff. You had it in Agatha. I probably would have had Agatha touch into that a little bit more.
Moon Knight as well.
Yeah, and Moon Knight. And then again, you can connect it with the straight level stuff just a hair, because you have Moon Knight coming from that world. And honestly, I think about this, and you had that Eternals thing with Blade talking to the Black Knight. You figure out a Blade movie. How fucking hard is it to figure out a Blade movie?
It doesn't feel like, obviously making a movie is extremely hard. I just get how we cannot even get past the writing stages.
Yeah.
Because even with the whole thing, however you want to say, that Marvel works with artists and it's not fun and all that, they can still get at least to the part where, okay, we're ready to shoot. Because their problem is not writing up anything. Their problem is usually like getting every schedule cleared so they can get started shooting. So I don't understand how we cannot even get that far.
Mm-hmm. No, 1,000%. Yeah. No. Yeah. As for shows, okay, so one more fun question. We could have any show. Like, budget wasn't a thing, no worries. You could go to any of the side characters from any of these films and give them a show. Who would it be?
Mephisto, the show. No, I'm joking. Give me a Black Knight show. Not Jon Snow Black Knight, his ancestor, which honestly can still be played by Kit Harington. Generally don't care. It doesn't make a difference.
Like Game of Thrones for the MCU.
Yeah, medieval set.
That's fucking awesome.
About this guy that's like super noble, but then he finds the ebony blade, and that's the journey. It's his descent into darkness, into being absorbed by it.
Dude, give me this right now. We
forgot, Zach. Eternals 2.
Yeah.
Eternals 2 should be in there.
Yeah. And like I said, you can just have Captain Marvel be in it. Maybe have Captain Marvel 3 be an Eternals sequel where she has to deal with the Celestials with them. But if I could have any budget show, I would have loved a show just in the Void. Like with the Deadpool, Wolverine, the refugees. So X-23, Elektra, Blade.
Yeah.
Johnny Storm, and either shown previously like how they were living.
Yeah.
Explore the Void a little bit more.
I would like that. Show me a Gambit with his X-Men, because I want to see everyone in the X-Men be comic accurate for once.
Yeah, I mean it's coming up. Maybe.
Hopefully it is, because I think that's the danger with bringing back the actual Fox versions, because Kelsey Grammer, we don't know if he's going to be the Beast from the Fox movies or the Beast that we saw in the Marvels. Patrick Stewart, same thing. I'm assuming they're going to be the Fox ones, just because they're also bringing back Rebecca Romijn and Alan Cumming and all that. But with those versions, the Black Letter has almost kind of become nostalgic.
No way. No Black Letter.
I'm not saying I would do it. I would do them comic accurate. I would 100%, no question about it, I would do them comic accurate. I just mean, you never know. At least from when they first come on screen, they're going to be with just a Black Letter, I bet.
Yeah.
But I can always see Ian McKellen with a comic accurate Magneto costume. That's going to be incredible.
Same.
That's probably the one I'm most excited for.
Same. Well, or Cyclops. James Marsden.
Yeah, but I've seen like 90% there. I've seen what a comic accurate Cyclops looks like, even if it was only for like 10 seconds. But I'm sure James Marsden's is going to be much better, much more incredible. As long as he doesn't have the trunks over the trousers. Nah, we don't need any of that. Would you like to add anything else?
No, I feel pretty good with this, man.
All right, let's get to your questions now. Then, do you want to get us started, Zach?
Yes. I got. What time is it? I got 15 minutes, so I'm good for this. So. Eric Thorpe, I know you mentioned a few, but I thought it would be fun to dive in further to which individual actors and characters would you guys each want to have one-on-one team-ups or interactions from the OG Fox X-Men, perhaps even some that aren't confirmed yet to be returning with specific MCU characters. I know we mentioned a little
one that's going to happen because someone opened their mouth.
What? Which one? Just say it. I don't know.
Alan Cumming. Do you see what he said?
with Pedro. Yeah, that's cool. For me, I know we mentioned some last week, I guess, like to add another one. And maybe I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, was Professor X, Magneto, Reed, Namor, like all those intellectual minds. Yeah, like just talking. That for me is awesome.
Strange.
For me, even if we don't know if they're in it yet, to have Vanessa Kirby with maybe a Famke Jensen or a Storm, just having a conversation for me is
Storm. You gotta have her talk with whoever's the Black Panther.
That, yeah. I mean, if
Gotta
they
happen.
recast, yeah. Oh, wait. Speaking of Storm, I have to have M'Baku make a statement about that. Like,
oh my god, yes.
like Winston Duke, like doing some sort of thing towards Halle Berry
Yeah,
will be funny.
100%. You gotta have that. I said it last week, but like, I really want to see Ian McKellen interact with Thor or even Loki. I think it'd even be more interesting with Loki because what he's gonna have to say about a god actually existing and not doing anything about what happened to him and his species, really. And then he's saying that to Loki, who's someone who's gonna have a guilt about it. And Thor would too, but like Loki has been reformed. Thor may have failed at like saving people from the horrible homicides from Germany in the night of 1940s, but Thor has always like been good and tried to help people and save them. Like Loki would carry more of that guilt. I agree with you. Like, I want to see Pedro Pascal and Patrick Stewart interact. I will obviously, and he's not confirmed, but we need a Thing and Hulk moment somewhere somehow.
Yeah. I need a Hulk and Hugh Jackman Wolverine thing.
Oh my god! Yes.
Savage Hulk though.
Savage. No, yeah. This only counts if it's Savage Hulk. We're not talking about Professor Hulk. Unless he chooses to fight while in Professor, I wouldn't mind that too much. But ideally, we're talking about Savage Hulk. All right. Or you know what, Zach? Wolverine or Deadpool, either or both versus Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Or Nightcrawler versus Shang-Chi. Are you joking? Oh, Black Panther versus Shang-Chi. Oh my god! Just give me an MCU game right now.
I want U.S. Agent talking with Cyclops.
Oh, yeah.
Like, especially with how conceited he is and like just how he was in Thunderbolts, I think that would be cool. Ghost versus Nightcrawler.
That's gonna be Ghost versus Mystique.
Yeah,
that'd be sick. All right. Eric Thorpe also asks thoughts on Jake Schreier being considered directing the MCU X-Men movie. Does seem like a very good, but maybe even obvious pick after Thunderbolts. Absolutely, it is obvious, but sometimes the obvious choice is the right choice. And that's not actually what I'm saying right now. I don't think there's a right or a wrong choice until we see the movie. But Jake Schreier, if anything, besides proving that he can make a great movie, he proved that he can make a movie in this spectacular world with superheroes and gods and multiverses and godlike beings flying around every day in New York City, and he can still ground the characters and make them human and make them three-dimensional. And that is just quintessential what every good X-Men story is about. Because that's going to be on the forefront of any X-Men story, is how they're larger than life and they look blue and furry, or they have claws coming out of their hands, or they shoot laser beams out of their eyes, or they can teleport or control magnetism or read the entire world's minds. That's going to be at the forefront. So you need a director and, more importantly, a writer that can ground them and find the humanity behind that. So I think he's a very good choice. Again, obvious. He's literally the one obvious choice you got because he's the guy who just directed the latest Marvel movie that was so far a resounding success. So yes, obvious, but obvious does not mean bad. And I realize how that sounds coming from me because usually I have not a problem, but usually when an actor gets cast in a role and it is the obvious choice, I can be like, oh, okay, that's a bit obvious. So it's the choice doesn't make me excited. So I understand if Jake Schreier is a choice that doesn't make you excited, like at the moment. But even in those scenarios, even if I'm like, okay, that's obvious, so it's not the most exciting choice, but I will still be excited with the assurity that that actor, or in this case, Jake Schreier, this director, will do a fantastic job with whatever movie he has next.
Yep.
What do you got, Zach? What do you think?
Eric Thorpe. Yeah. For that, perfect pick. I mean, the second I read that, I was like, yeah, give me that. I don't. I mean, personally, for me, there's other picks that I also would have done, but after what he did with Thunderbolts, I'm all in. Next question, Eric Thorpe reviews. Any chance the Ryan Gosling Star Wars movie ends up just morphing into Episode X, or what would that be? Episode 10 would continue Disney's pattern of releasing one standalone film in between each main episode with the Mando movie. I don't think there's a chance at all with this. Yeah, I don't. I think it needs to be on its own thing, and I think we're gonna get an episode 10. It'll be years down the road, maybe like another 10 or so. So, Eric Thorpe Reviews also asks, which franchise do you think Emilia Clarke is more likely to reprise her role in, Star Wars or Marvel? Well, considering the character was just in Star Wars Outlaws, I would probably say Star Wars, but I don't know if she'd actually come, and also for Marvel, probably not. I don't know. I maybe Star Wars. Ren, what about you? What do you think? Which franchise do you think Emilia Clarke is more likely to reprise her role in, Star Wars or Marvel? I said Star Wars probably, because Kira just showed up in Outlaws, so she just didn't voice her. So
I'm actually gonna go the opposite way, but I will give you I will sort of go both ways with my answer. More likely, I actually think it's Marvel. I would 1,000% prefer if it was Star Wars. And I'm saying this, I'm the guy who probably had the least issues with how her character went in Secret Invasion. I have issues with the fact that they never mentioned or used her again since, but I did like that Dragon Ball style battle. Among the many issues that Secret Invasion has, the worst thing Marvel at the MCU has done. Yeah, I will say I actually think Marvel. Even if it's just this character, we found her, we killed her, and now we have all her powers.
There you go. Maybe she's the MacGuffin.
What they're going to have. If they ever bring him back, that's probably what they're going to do. Alrighty. Eric Thorpe Reviews. Any chance this Ryan Gosling Star Wars film ends up just morphing?
I read that one.
Oh, you've read that one.
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I'm saying that when we know next to nothing about this film yet, so it's just hard to say. Not that studios haven't done the thing before where this doesn't really fit if we morph it into this other thing, but they still did it. So I'm not saying they wouldn't, but I have too little information to see how it could morph into episode 10. But I'm also not going to be rooting for something that doesn't quite fit to become episode 10. Like at this point, I don't even know if I would want that to be the thing. All right. Eric Thorpe Reviews also asks, not that I want this to happen, obviously, but say Matt Reeves doesn't do the Batman Part 2, but they move forward with the new director. Who do you think would be the best replacement? Jake Schreier. I'm joking. I understand it's more likely the movie will just not happen in this case, but hypothetically. That's a good question. Who would you get? Oh, I know. Christopher Nolan. No, I'm joking. There's a name that just popped into my mind. I really do think he would be very good for it, but I don't think they would want him to do it. I don't think he would want to do it, but I think he fits very much in that world that Matt Reeves created. Gareth Evans. And he's just coming off a terrible movie. So I'm still willing to give him the best benefit of the doubt.
I would say Gareth Edwards instead.
Or that. Yeah, I like that.
But
I think that one is much more possible.
I mean, if he comes off, we're not getting the movie. I'd be very shocked if we still got the movie.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to say Lauren LaFranc. She was the lead writer of The Penguin. She didn't direct, but benefit of the doubt given.
Yeah.
She show ran the entire show, which is basically directing the entire thing. So honestly, I would give it to her and let her continue off that path. There's still a nervousness because she's never done a movie before, but
obviously
people could say the same thing about Matt Shakman.
Yeah.
And look at him and his success. So in terms of what else, I'm trying to think of who
Jake Schreier done a movie before Thunderbolts?
I don't think so. Not
Yeah, I
from my
think he just
memory.
did TV. He has plenty of TV credits, but I don't think. Let me check. Director. Short TV series. Nah, he did direct.
You know what? Why don't we just get Michael Giacchino to direct it? He did Werewolf by Night. He can do the score. You pay him both. That's fine with me.
Yeah. He directed the Chance the Rapper documentary, I think.
Oh.
Chance the Rapper's Magnificent Coloring World. I don't know what that is, but he directed
Never watched it.
He directed a music video, Justin Bieber and Benny Blanco. Yeah, but I'm not seeing like any like movie so far. And oh no, he did direct he directed Paper Towns, which I never ended up seeing. And he directed Robot and Frank with Frank Langella. Back in 2012. So yeah, this was his third movie. So hadn't directed many, but yeah, it doesn't apply for this comparison.
Okay.
Alrighty, what's next?
Damien Scott, will you be talking about the Final Destination movie series? Which one is your favorite movie or death scene? I'm not going to say publicly why, but I will only be doing a short review for this. So there's a reason.
I've already mentioned I'll be dropping my review on Tuesday, 5 p.m. BST, which is an hour from now. So whatever an hour from now is the time in your area, that's when the review drops on Tuesday. Favorite movie, 100% Final Destination 5. It's the one great movie in the franchise. A really smart screenplay, plays with the tropes really well, has a discount Dave Franco in it. Yeah, it's just really, really, really good. My favorite death scenes is either one death in 5, which is the girl doing the gymnastics. It is horrifying. One of the worst deaths I have ever seen on screen. It makes me wince every time, and I know it's coming. Or the other, Final Destination 3, which, by fun fact, is the first one I ever watched. The guy in the gym, where he's doing the chest compressions and the blades just drop and squish his head. So fucking good. Such a good death. Those two are my favorites. How about you?
I mean, the gymnastic one I always go to. Now, while I don't like 4,
so
I think
nasty.
The pool one's gross too. When he gets stuck to the bottom of the pool, that's disgusting as well.
There is also one death in the new one in Bloodlines that I was
is like, it the MRI one?
Yeah,
that's the one everyone keeps talking about.
So fucking good. I was like, what the fuck? Like every time you think it's over, like it keeps going, and it's so good.
I'm excited. I see it. I'm not going to see it before the next show. I see it Sunday, the day after. So,
all right. Wait.
Damien Scott. All the reports about the Batman 2 being delayed to the film. I don't think it's happening anymore. Don't you think? I don't think so. I think it's still happening, but we'll see. What about you?
I would say it still happens. I'm not diving into any more specifics. I don't know if it happens with Matt Reeves, without Matt Reeves. Like I don't know, but I think some version of it can still happen. I wouldn't count it out just yet. Geek repeat. Did you all see the new announcement about them doing a Ted animated sequel series with Mark Wahlberg and Amanda Seyfried coming back? And will be straight after Ted 2 or 10 years? Wait, are you asking if it will be right after?
We don't know. I mean,
okay,
we don't know.
I certainly don't know. I saw the announcement. Here's the thing, and stay with me. I would very much be more interested in a Ted 3 with Mark Wahlberg and Amanda Seyfried and all that. So to me, this announcement is especially when it's animated. It kind of loses the thing of the teddy bear coming to life and the fun of that, to seeing him with real humans. That said, when they announced the Ted show, I was also like, and then the Ted show was really good. So right now, I'll keep my stance of but I will be there to give it a shot. And hopefully it's as good as the other Ted, the existing Ted show. What about you, Zach? I know you are very invested in it.
Yeah, I'm very happy that this was the last question.
You just love your movie set in Boston.
Yeah, I really loved the first 2 Ted movies. And in that show, I was like, when it was announced, but then I watched it and it was fucking hilarious. It was so good. I rewatched it so many times last year. So them doing an animated series just makes me go, isn't it Family Guy then? I guess what is the animation? What does it look like? We really couldn't just do a movie. Like, the movie would have made money. So I'm interested, but I can't say I'm excited. But I hope that in the end of the day, it has 2 things: heart and humor. That's what sets Ted separate from Family Guy. That's what it sets it against anything else that Seth MacFarlane's made, is the heart and humor. Ted the show has heart and humor to it. The movies also have the same thing. So as long as it has that, I'm fine with it. But with that said, that's it for me this week, guys. So have fun, guys.
Thank you very much, Zach. We'll see you next week when I'm in the other set, by the way. I will be in the other set.
Perfect. All right. Bye, guys.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Alrighty. We will keep going until the questions are done. Now it's just little old me, and my face is much bigger because Zach is not here anymore. So I apologize for that. Where were we? Geek EP, can you name some movies that you picture a better version of in your head? I know you guys will disagree, but Thor: Love and Thunder comes to mind when I think about this question. No, I love, you guys know I love Thor: Love and Thunder. I can picture a better version of it in my head. I can picture a version where we see Gore the God Butcher butchering gods. As much as I love that movie, that was the biggest that I had. But I've said this before, and maybe at this point you guys don't believe me because it's taking so long, but Captain America Brave New World, I'm still working on my rewrite for that, and I'm very happy with how it's coming along. It's just very tricky because when it comes to like rewrites, and you probably saw if you watched my Secret Invasion rewrite, I go deep into this shit, and I'm a one-guy team, so I'm still like working hard on the Captain America rewrite. And I'm actually glad I didn't finish it before Thunderbolts, because with Thunderbolts, I have a little bit more of a context to work with and make it even better than my previous version, my previous improvement of it would have been. All the Jurassic Worlds, really? Wonder Woman 1984. I know I'm just talking about franchises, but those are the things that like recur in your mind. Prometheus, I have a better version of. Alien Covenant, I love, but I have in my head somewhat of a better version of. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and you guys know, I like that movie. I'm not dying on that hill like I am with Thor: Love and Thunder, but I like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I enjoyed it. I've gone back to it and still enjoy it. I give it a thumbs up. Not a strong I will defend this movie until I die kind of thumbs up, but I like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. What else? I'm looking at some of my Blu-rays, but they're all MCU. So, yeah, those are just a few that come to mind off the top of my head. And those are shows, right? Yeah, those are the shows. So, not really much to say there. All right. GKP, what do you guys think? What do you guys think is the best bounce back in a movie franchise? A movie that was a major improvement over a lackluster predecessor in a franchise. This is really, really good. Ooh. Sequels. Sequels that improved on the original, but they were franchise. Films. Let me see if anything on my Letterboxd. No. Sonic 3 is by far the best Sonic, but the entire franchise was on the up and up from the beginning. So there's no bouncing back for them. Oh, this is a really tough question, Jico EP. I don't think the Venom movies ever really bounced back. You know what? Transformers 1. I know we're getting technical here because this is not like the same franchise as the Michael Bay ones, but like Transformers 1 is the best Transformers movie ever made, and like we suffered for years. And yes, we had Bumblebee, and I like the Rise of the Beasts more than most people, but I remember most people were like, kind of in it. So that's definitely a valid choice for as an answer to this question. But now I want to find out more because this is a really, really good question. Do you want to count Romulus? Do we count? I mean, Prey definitely counts because the Predator was not it. So Prey definitely counts. Because they're so far apart, I don't know if you count Bad Boys for Life compared to Bad Boys 2, because even Bad Boys 2, like, it's not the greatest movie, but it was like pretty successful and well received overall, as far as I remember. I remember I wasn't paying attention to like box office reception and whatnot back then, but I want to find at least one more. I really do like this question. So I want to find one more at least. 10, 11. Which franchises needed a bouncing back? Why do I watch so many movies? I have way too many movies listed, man. Can you say Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was a bounce back? Because it wasn't that good to a Mockingjay Part 2 that wasn't that bad. Like, I really, really do like Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I don't think it's... Oh! Saw X! Saw X! Are you joking? That's the perfect answer for this question. It's Saw X. And unfortunately, we are not keeping on coming back with that one. The Suicide Squad, that's a great one. And it's doubly correct, doubly perfect for this question, because you're not just dealing with the original Suicide Squad that sucked. You're dealing with a whole DCU that had been having issues. And obviously, you just had the Snyder Cut earlier that same year, but the Suicide Squad 1,000% counts. It's probably the best answer out of all the ones we could have come up with. Also, hopefully by July we can add Jurassic World Rebirth to this one, because the last two ones were definitely not it. Dominic Scott, Peacemaker is a divisive series. You love it or hate it. I have reviews for every single episode of season 1 on my channel, and I really enjoyed the trailer for season 2. So take that answer as you will. Very strange that they go full monster. I didn't give a thumbs up. What is wrong with you? Very strange that they go full Monsters Inc. in that trailer. Ooh, Rocky Balboa after Rocky 5. That is such a good shout. Such a good shout. Mission Impossible 3... I'm not saying no, but at the same time, like, I didn't experience it, like, in person. Like, I wasn't paying attention to what people said about Mission Impossible 2 and then 3 at the time those were coming out, because I was 9 when Mission Impossible 2 came out, and I was 13 when Mission Impossible 3 came out. So, as far as... all I cared about was, do I like the movie? Cool. I'm going back to my room and watching more movies now. That's all I cared about. And I never disliked Mission Impossible that much. Full on, the weakest of the franchise, don't get me wrong. But I never disliked Mission Impossible 2 that much. It has too much of a directorial style for me to not enjoy it. It has too much distinctiveness, John Woo-ness to it. And John Woo is fucking rad as a film director, so I never could dislike that film. And also, Mission Impossible 3 is not that good. Like, if we count Ghost Protocol, that's the comeback. Yeah, that's the first great Mission Impossible movie. Yeah, the first great. All right. Also, the Ministry Scott. Have you seen the behind the scenes of Doomsday? No, and I do not want to. I want to watch that movie when it comes out, and after watching it, when I get it on a Steelbook, I will watch the behind the scenes. Gigo P, who's a potential cast member for Doomsday and Secret Wars? That's a major wild cast for you. Wild cast for you guys. One where you wouldn't be surprised if they come back or not. For me, wouldn't be surprised if Natalie Portman come. Ooh, yeah. If they did the Thor, I wouldn't be surprised if Natalie Portman comes back as a multiverse variant of Jane, as a mighty Thor. If they do the Thor Corps, wouldn't be shocked if she came back. Who else? So there's no parameters in your question that it would be someone who has already been in the MCU. We know for a fact this is someone they wanted to include in a movie last year. Please, Big Kev, Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider. I will automatically give this movie 5 stars. No, I'm joking, but I really, really, really want to see Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. And you know what? If rights are not a thing that get in the way of this, I wouldn't mind seeing Nicolas Cage as Spider-Man Noir, because we know they're doing a live-action show of that. So, theoretically speaking, it is possible that he shows up. And since Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are already showing up, give it to me. Give it to me, Kevin Feige. Okay. GKB top 5 best new characters introduced in the multiverse saga. There's no way you cannot have Yelena. And I'm not putting this in any particular order, but there's no way you cannot have you don't have a Yelena on there. I have to put Moon Knight on there because I love Moon Knight as a character. The character of Moon Knight and played the way he was by Oscar Isaac, I think he's fantastic. I'm gonna also have Kamala Khan. That is one of the best characters in the whole MCU. Again, let me look at my Blu-rays to remember which characters were introduced. Marvel's Wakanda Forever, Foster, Shang-Chi. I do love Shang-Chi, but am I forgetting anyone? What movie is that? Is that Multiverse of Madness? Yeah, that's Multiverse of Madness. Pizza Papa, definitely top 5. Emma Stone as Spider-Gwen. I would flip out if that happens. Honestly, just because of how that film hit me, I gotta go with Bob, also from Thunderbolts. I have to go with that character because it speaks to my personal experience, and that's why the movie affected me as much as it did. Now the question for 5th spot is, so we have Yelena, we have Moon Knight, we have Kamala Khan, we have Bob, we have Sentry. John Walker is a really good shout, especially after Thunderbolts Asterisk New Avengers. Good question, by the way. After I answer this, I have a question for you guys. We're how the tables are turning. The only question for my final spot is whether I put Shang-Chi or Sylvie. Because I think Sylvie is it's not only a great character, but I think just as a concept, she is really interesting in what she adds to like the MCU, especially in this phase that we're in now, but also to Loki as a character and the growth he goes through. I'm gonna go Shang-Chi just because Sylvie's story might be over and Shang-Chi's definitely isn't. So yeah, those are my 5. But Yelena has to be there. Bob, Moon Knight is. I so wish they would have used more Moon Knight up until now, and I hope they continue to use it. Then Kamala Khan, and then Shang-Chi. Even though technically Daredevil was only introduced in the MCU on Phase 5, so if I wanted to, I could cheat and give you Daredevil as an answer, and you wouldn't have any valid arguments with it. Shut up, man. I'm doing a podcast. A fucking motorcycle. All right, next up. Dude, are you compensating or what? Come on. Claremont. Yeah, Chris Claremont. I don't know if you saw this, but did you guys see Chris Claremont, my friend Chris Claremont, who I've met in costume? I met him dressed as Kylo Ren. But he signed my Days of Future Past comic book. So, comments about potential detailed. It was Chris Claremont who said this. Okay. Comments about he's still compensating, guys. He's still fucking compensating for something. I'm about to pick up a rock and throw it at his head. I'm not. I'm joking. For legal reasons, that was a joke. About potential details about Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, like RDJ playing multiple characters and Elizabeth Olsen coming back as a good Scarlet Witch. Do you believe him? I'm just for the sake of answering this question, I don't believe him only because I had no idea about this. I had no idea he said anything. I have no idea how he would know these things because I don't know how involved he is, even though he's got to be involved because he's the quintessential writer for X-Men comics forever and always. But I didn't see this. But do answer me this. In what he said, does this mean like RDJ playing multiple characters as in multiple versions of Doom or multiple characters? Because I wouldn't be shocked, but I hadn't thought about this. And by the way, let me pose the question to you guys. Let me actually go on YouTube and give you guys a poll. Let me just. I apologize because the sound will come in. I was able to stop it in time. All right, I'm about to put up a poll. Start a poll. Here's the question. Since Thunderbolts has now officially changed his name to the New Avengers, does this make Doomsday and Secret Wars Avengers 6 and 7 instead of 5 and 6? Because now, technically, Thunderbolts or, New Avengers, they're the next Avengers movie. So they're Avengers 5. So you guys let me know how you see it. I just put up the poll on the live chat. So you guys let me know. Whoever's live, and if you're watching this on a repeat, let us know in the comments, whether it is on YouTube, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I am very interested to see how the rest of you guys see this, because it's not a question it's a question that just came to my mind. So it's not even a conversation that I've had already. I wish we could have been in this Q&A portion a bit more with Zach, but you guys remind me to ask him next weekend. So far, everyone's voting yes. I see there's 100. I don't know how many. 2 votes. So far, 2 votes resounding yes. All right, let's keep going, and then by the time the show ends, we'll check the poll again. So I got this one. Divinity Scott, will you be ranking any of the Fantastic Four after this new one? You guys know rankings are not my thing. I tried to get into them, but they're just so much work. And again, 1-person team. But I might do because it's 5 movies, I guess. It's 5 movies, so I guess if I do a ranking, it'll just be a short. But and if it is just a short, I'm much more keen to do it than a long form. A long former. Okay, here he said RDJ will not only play Doom, but also an alternate universe Iron Man and with two other. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you for letting me know, GKWP. I am very curious about that, but I will resist the urge to go look into it because I want to know as little as possible going into that film. But yeah, probably I can probably do a short. If not, just ask me on the show and I will rank it. Like it's right now the way I see it's only a matter like the new Fantastic Four has got to be number one, right? Even before seeing it, it's got to be one of those. Is like you need to be this good to be a number one. Otherwise, the story around it will be how this is still not the best Fantastic Four movie. So yeah. All right. GKP, what do you guys want the most out of Spider-Man Brand New Day? Honestly, I just want it to be good. And if any of the details that came out yesterday are to be believed, like take it with a grain of salt. But apparently, it's going to be more grounded. It's going to be a grounded story, and they saved the multiverse shenanigans with the other Spider-Man for Doomsday and Secret Wars, as they should. Going back to what we were doing with our rebuilding of Phases 4 and 5, the whole thing is to establish and reestablish what the world looks like, how the world functions when everyone knows about the Avengers and half of the people disappeared for 5 years and they came back. Like, how do you deal with that? Like legally, bureaucratically, like emotionally, like as a husband, as a son, as a dad, as a mom, as a neighbor, as a friend, like how do you deal with that reality? So especially after reeling so much from No Way Home and everything that happened there, I want Peter Parker to be allowed to be grounded because we took away like the fact that everyone knew who he was and he was Spider-Man. Like nobody knows Peter Parker. How does he deal with that loneliness? Like a kid in college. So that's what I want to see. Daredevil would be great. I would love to see it. And yeah, he wouldn't know who Peter Parker is, so we just see like a team up because he wouldn't be in any legal trouble. All right. So that's a good shout. GKOP, which post-credit scenes in Phase 4 or 5 that you think would get followed up? As in, which one hasn't been followed up that I want to see followed up? Obviously, I want more Eternals, so I would say that one, the second one at least. No, the first one, because the second one is the Blade one. Obviously, I also want to see that, but with the Eternals, we have a movie, and we have a direction they went off into, so we can pick up from that. Like Blade, I also want to see that, obviously, but Blade, at least we didn't have one movie yet to make us want more. Like Eternals, I want more. Obviously, I need some follow-up on Doctor Strange with Clea. I want some follow-up with what do you think? What do you think has the potential to get followed up? Definitely the Doctor Strange one. Like one way or another, whether it is disappointing, whether they just brush it off, that's gonna get a follow-up of some kind. The Thor one, just this week we had updates. Like they really want to do Thor 5, which cool. Give it to me more. Bring back a serious Thor, much like the first one. That's what I want. That's still my favorite Thor movie by far. Well, not by far. I would say Love and Thunder is somewhat close to it. Because they're only half a star apart for me, or half a grade apart for me. Yeah, I wouldn't... Right now, I don't think the Eternals one has a lot of potential to be followed up on. The Shang-Chi one is for sure going to be addressed, whether they like course corrected or not, but that one is definitely getting readdressed because he's coming back before even getting a sequel. What other movies did we have? Obviously, the Thunderbolts one. That's gonna get a follow up. It's gonna get a follow up this year in like 2 months, less than 2 months at this point. Where do I have my list? There we go. The Marvels is gonna get a follow-up. No Way Home didn't have post-credit scenes. WandaVision, Multiverse of Madness we discussed. Love and Thunder, Eternals. Brave New World's gonna get a follow-up. Quantumania is definitely not getting a follow-up. At least one of them isn't. I don't think the other one, where it's just the birthday, needs a follow-up, to be fair. Deadpool and Wolverine. What? Did it only have one? Did it only have the one with Chris Evans? Because that one is definitely not... That doesn't need a follow-up. That's cut off. That's done. Unless you want to count like one of the screens in that Deadpool post-credit scene shows that Gambit is alive and he's obviously coming back from Doomsday, so that's a follow-up. So yeah, I think I literally went through them all, so I'm really sorry that I dwelled on that, guys. All right. WC Scott, what could happen if James Gunn's Superman... No. What would happen if Superman bombs? Game over for James Gunn? No, it's not game over, and it's not game over because you don't quit after one try. And Superman is coming off is got a very uphill hill to climb, very steep uphill journey to climb, because the DCU was never like embraced, was never like fully accepted. So there's that. You also have to take into account, like, people love Superman the character. People know who Superman is. He's the most famous superhero. He's the granddaddy of all superheroes. But Superman has never been mega successful in the cinematic landscape, in theatrical releases. I don't know why. I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm not saying I agree with it. That's just a fact. Also, going back a little bit to the DCU issue, you call them a minority, you call them whatever you want, but they are very, very, very loud about their unacceptance of... They changed Superman. And remember, my favorite Superman is Henry Cavill. He's the best Superman of all time for me. Like, bar none. Live action Superman, obviously, I'm talking. So you also have that. I don't think... It's not game over for James Gunn, but I think the way they've done the whole layout of the universe and what's coming out and whatnot, they've not done the best job at it. And with the Peacemaker trailer yesterday, it gives us a little bit more of a glimpse how they're going to collage it together. But it's very, very, very complicated to color right now, because what they want... I don't think WB is realistically looking at the Superman movie coming out and going, we're going to have to hit $1 billion. We got to be a box office success, like, to be great and the best movie it can be. They're not looking at that. They just want the movie to be profitable. Like, there's the first margin, is let us be profitable. They want to be critically successful and audience successful. If Superman bombs, and we're talking bomb, we're not talking about $1 billion, we're not talking about cutting it even, we're not talking about making a profit. Bomb, you wait until Supergirl. And then you wait until whatever movie is next. Because regardless of how Superman does, and that cannot, because, again, you don't quit after one try. But Supergirl right after that, she is not the most famous character at all. Like, what general audiences know about Supergirl is that she is the female version of Superman, which is wrong, by the way. Read a Supergirl comic. Read the comic they're adapting for the film, because it is fucking awesome. So read that one. But that character, if Superman bombs or Superman underperforms or whatever, like, Supergirl is definitely not going to be the movie that brings more people in. So I think you at least have to wait until a third one, until a third, like, movie. Because, again, like me and Zach were talking about the TV shows. You cannot make the TV shows essential viewing. You can do the TV shows to introduce new characters that are going to play bigger parts into the movies. But when you bring them into the movies, you got to do what Thunderbolts did. Create banter and interactions between your characters and use a story structure that allows audiences to get to know them and get the gist of who these guys are. Because my parents watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, but they won't remember the fuck out of Falcon and Winter Soldier when they see Thunderbolts. But the movie gives them just enough. Oh yeah, this is who John Walker is, and boom. My parents will not remember the 7 years ago movie Ant-Man and the Wasp, but the movie does a great job of, oh, this is who Ghost is. Taskmaster, Elena, and all of that, Red Guardian, all of those characters. Like, the movie does a great job at even level you with people like me, like us, like the big nerds that like watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier 4 years ago, and we still remember perfectly who John Walker is, and we see what the journey is into this film. Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, all the same, and Taskmaster and Elena and Red Guardian and all of that. So it can't be just the one movie, the Superman movie, that makes or breaks the DCU going forward. And I don't think Supergirl can be that movie either, but they are coming from a position where there's a lot of challenges ahead. So let's just hope the movie's good. Let's just hope the movie's keep being good, because if us who are going to watch the movie keep telling people, oh no, that Superman movie was fucking awesome. Oh no, that Supergirl movie was even better than the Superman movie. Something like that. That's what's going to slowly but surely start to bring people in. When Iron Man came out, it was a success, but nobody knew Iron Man. No one cared about Iron Man. No one cared about Robert Downey Jr. And then people went to watch it and were like, oh no, that was like really fucking good. And then The Incredible Hulk comes out. Doesn't make as much money. They keep going. Iron Man 2 comes out. It's not even that good. Makes even more money. And you start to create the snowball effect. So you gotta give it at least 2-3 movies to test the water. See what the momentum, which direction it is going in. So bottom line, do not give up after one movie. Because that's not how you see patterns. And studios want to see patterns. They want to see box office going up. They want to see more people talk about their movies on a constant basis. And they want critical and audience success, acceptance rather. All right. Last 2 questions. Gigo EP, are you nervous about Ironheart given we haven't gotten a trailer yet and comes out next month? I'm still optimistic given Ryan Coogler and his production company, but I'm worried we're going to get another Echo. I even forgot about Echo in my rebuilding of Phase 4 and 5 because it doesn't affect anything. I mean, just put it right after Daredevil, like just in case anyone's curious what I'd put it, like put it right after, not Daredevil, Hawkeye. Am I nervous about Iron Trailer? Ironheart. Because we haven't gotten a trailer. Ooh, hang on. My computer is almost dying. I just needed to put it on charge. Come on, buddy. There you go. Am I nervous about Ironheart? I wouldn't say that I'm nervous, but that's only because I was never like even that invested or that much looking forward to Ironheart as a show. Putting that aside, though, I think everyone has reasons to be nervous about this show. Let me just get my charger real quick, my plug, rather. If I find the right section of my backpack where it is, where I can find it. And here it is. I apologize, everyone. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be nervous about this show. Number one reason, top reason to be nervous, for those who don't know, this show was ready to come out. It was shot. It was ready to come out at least around the summer after Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever came out in November 2022. Around the summer of 2023, this show was ready to release. And they chose to shelve it. That's not a good sign. Especially when the show like takes off after Wakanda Forever. It introduces us to this character, Riri Williams. Give us the show. Half a year later, a year later at most, not 2.5 years later. Let me finally plug this in. I just wanted to be on camera while I answer this question. It's just, I think there's a lot of reasons to be nervous. And yes, like Jigo EP said, it is still produced by Ryan Coogler. He's still, I wouldn't say very much involved, because I genuinely don't know how involved he was. But it is his production company, and I really enjoy Ironheart in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. She was great in that film, like as a supporting character. I don't know how I will like her in her own show as a lead, because for those who don't know, Ironheart in the comics, her first run, she sucks. She is a horrible, stubborn, arrogant character. And oh, she's just having a character arc. She grows to be like, no, those issues with who she is as a person are not the focus of the arc or of the story in that first run. That's why it's an issue. And I thought she was full of herself in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but she backs it up, man. That's not arrogance. That's confidence, and she can back it up. That's not the thing in the comic. That's all I'm saying. And the little trailer that was leaked, in was it D23? I remember I saw a leaked trailer, like, I don't remember how long ago. It was like last year in the summer or whatever, but that trailer looked good enough, interesting enough. Why is it not out yet? Like, I don't know what big, because a lot of times Marvel would have a tight embargo because of big spoilers, big reveals, and all of that. What are we gonna have on Ironheart that's like this big? I don't know. Apart from maybe Riri Williams will be a part of Doomsday and Secret Wars, I don't know what big spoiler you're gonna have in this show. And another thing that shows you, like, this show was ready to go for a while. Did you guys end up seeing What If Season 3? Do you remember the episode with Kate Bishop and Shang-Chi as cowboys? Do you remember who the villain is in that episode? It's the Hood. But this version of the Hood in that episode is Shang-Chi's sister. The Hood is just a mantle that is a villain from Ironheart. So that's the immediate indicator. The whole What If thing is taking these characters and changing them up to be other versions of who we know them to be, but we never met the original Hood. So that episode of What If felt extremely odd to watch, where it's like we're seeing an alternate version of the Hood while we haven't yet met the original version of the Hood. So it's one of the things that I talked about at the time when I did my review of What If Season 3. Like, you miss the entire point of What If. You miss the entire the fun of What If. So, and before moving on to the final question, we have a super chat from our good friend Tony Movie Chappie. And he asked, thoughts on the original Black Christmas and the remake 2006. The remake from 2006 is fun enough. And I've never seen the original. I've only watched the 2019 one. Actually, I've never seen the 2019 one. I think I just watched Stuckman's full-on, like, spoiler review of how awful it was. So yeah, I've not seen the original, so I have no thoughts on it, and I don't have that many thoughts on the 2006 one, because I thought it's fine, it's fun, but didn't, like, stick around in this whole noggin of mine. And final question, Deminician Scott. Let me just refresh, see if we have any more. Nope, that's it. Deminician Scott asks, is that Ellie's tattoo in your arm? Yes, it is. I got this done Christmas time 20... How do I turn... There we go. It's Christmas time 2023. So it's a little over. It's almost a year and a half now. But it's going to be 2 years at the end of this year. So yes, I'm very happy with it. I really love this tattoo. So yes. That is Ellie's tattoo, and now it's my tattoo as well. But I promise I didn't get bit by an infected. I also promise I am not immune. I would hope I wasn't immune. So yeah, and that does it for our show today. The rebuilding of phases 4 and 5. Let us know how you would rebuild those phases. If you like anything that we did, how we put it together, how it correlates to one another with movies and shows. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, we'll be in a different set, but there will still be a show, my friends. I hope to see you there. Really happy with today's show. Had a lot of fun. Great questions. Thank you to Tony Movie Chappie. Shout out to you, sir. Shout out to Zach. Shout out to all of you who joined us live. And shout out to you who are listening to us or watching us on the replay. And until next week, love each other and love the movies. Bye-bye, everybody.